So when you're doing skin then, I'm only going to really speak about Santiago figures because that's what I work with most. I have used 2K4s, but there are some slight differences in the moulding of the 2K4. I don't think it has the moulded collar line or the moulded cuff line that the Santiago has. Looking at these, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see them. They do have some rough edges in places. This guy's is actually mostly at the top around his neck. Don't know if you can just see up in this area behind the by the brush there. There's a mark there. This guy, he's got like a little extra bit on his hand, and this guy's got quite a little bit, a build up the top. So I don't know how I'm going to do this on camera because I can't see what I'm doing, but best thing to do, get yourself a little crafting knife and then we'll take it off. Cool, so you don't want to dig too far in, you just kind of want to bring it across the surface to take it out. Try and do it on camera. Just to take that line out so you can see now that his hand no longer has that extra bit in it. So that's him sorted. This guy has got that extra bit on and around his neck. Try and do it where you guys can see it. So it's really important not to dig in because you don't want to put lines in it, so you want a smooth finish in and around there. So that is pretty much all the prep work I do on these. Let's just do this other guy while we've got him here. So he's another one with quite a lot of excess plastic on him. This bit won't come off, it's really irritating. Come down from the top. He's even got a little bit in there. Don't want it to be perfect, like I'm not looking for perfection. It's just when you're painting them, it does create an issue when you're working. So there we go, we've tidied him up. So that's the first thing I would always do. And like I say, I work with Santiago's pretty much all the time. Some of them don't need that modification done to them or that sort of extra plastic taken off, but it's always good to do it. I do mine with just a craft knife with an interchangeable blade on it. It's not the sharpest blade because I've got about 4 different knives. This is just the one I use just for taking plastic off. It's quite good. Don't want it to be too sharp as well, like I said, because I don't want it to be digging in. I just want to be able to take off that plastic that we need to take off. So first things first, as always, I've had this paint open, so I just want to make sure that it's loosened up. As I said, I've used the these little snapped in half skewers just to mix my paint up. I have put paint thinner in this because my flesh, as you can see, is quite far down in the tin. I've had it for quite a while, so it does go thick really quickly. Pretty much every time I use this now, I'm going to have to thin it out, just with White Spirit, because it's never going to go back to being the paint it was when it was brand new. Paint code wise, Humbrol Matte Enamel Ref 61. A little bit of fun for this tutorial video then. See if you can guess the frame that we are doing. First kit, this guy. So this one is a long sleeve shirt with a winged collar with a 3-button top, so a slight V. As always, whenever I'm doing skin, I start with the legs. I try and make my brush into more of a flat shape, if I can actually do it. There are we. So here, it's a little bit more of a flat shape, and then I always start on the inside leg, and you can pretty much, with a Santiago especially, just follow the line that's already there. The line's already moulded, so I go up to the top, come around the socks. Now, the advantage for me on this one is that the socks are quite a dark colour. The shorts are going to be white, so I don't want to overpaint on those. But if you if you ever did overpaint onto shorts, don't panic, because I will show you how to get rid of it. So let's just say, for example, bit of paint on his arm. Don't panic. Okay, the worst thing you can do is try and start getting that off with white spirit or wiping it, because you'll just make it bigger. Just leave it for now. I'm not going to touch it. So on the back of the leg, again, I'm trying to do this. It's quite difficult, to be fair. Trying to show you guys to come up to the back of the fire there, and then down the back. And again, with this Santiago, you've got nice mold lines to work with. It's just all about bringing your brush up to those lines, applying pressure, but not so much that you bump the lines. If you bump the lines, you'll put the paint above where it needs to go. So you want to bring yourself to those lines, but don't bump them. So you want to apply the pressure, and it's not a lot, but that is a simple leg. I'll get you another figure to do legs again. So let's just move this guy out of the way. So again, with legs, try and make your brush into a nice flat surface. Start on the inside leg, bring it up to the top, and just follow that short line round. Then drag it down to the top of the sock line, and then come straight across. That's where having my brush in a flatter format works. I do that just by sticking it in my mouth. That is literally it. I'm going to bring it round again, cross the top of the sock in there, flip him around and work completely the opposite way. Come in and round, short line there, down the back, just fill in them extra spaces. It can be a little bit quicker when you're going around them extra spaces, but when you get to the areas where you don't want to bump, this one I can't because the shorts and the socks are white, so I don't really want to make a mistake. And then again on this one, start it in the middle, bring it up, cross the shorts, applying that pressure but not so much that I'm bumping over the line. Down the back of his leg there, and just bringing it round across that already moulded line. Like I say, Santiago's help you out quite nicely. 2K4s, other figures, they do have mould lines on them, but I know the shirts don't have as many. The replay guys that I've got one set of replay figures that have moulded collars. I haven't painted anything on them yet, but the sleeves don't have sort of an indent where the cuff would end, so it gives you that bit more flexibility and a more seamless change between long and short sleeve. But we can achieve short sleeve with these. So we've got a normal v-neck, this one's going to be, and a shallow v-neck, this one's also going to be short sleeve. So we'll come to him second. So short sleeves is easy because the mould lines are there again. From here on, I'll hold the base, and I'm just going to bring it around onto here like this, and I'm still not going to worry too much about this in here because I'm going to sort that out in a minute, but I don't want to do it when it's wet. So again, just coming around, follow those lines. The lines are there for you. It makes this bit quite easy. I think if you mess this up, you've either got too much paint on the brush or you're not being careful enough when you're coming around, because the lines are there. So with this one, for the slight V, I'm just going to fill in most of his face work first. With this, doesn't really matter if you overpaint anywhere, because pretty much any of the hair colours I use anyway will cover skin tone. It's not a massive issue. And if you painted it really bad, just make sure you paint with really dark hair. With these, again, you do have a collar line. A little bit harder to track it. But you can see it, and you kind of just get used to knowing where it is. As you saw there, I follow around the bottom of the chin, so it gives me a nice curve to push against. I push against the bottom of it, the underside of his chin, and that brings it round. Going to bring it round the back. So now where we come on to make that little V shape. Now, all I want to do, it doesn't need to be very big because it's a button-up collar. It just needs to be tiny one. It's just about adding a tiny little bit of extra paint in there, and there is long sleeve button top skin tone. We'll go on to our short sleeve guy now. So with this one, same with the legs. I always start on the inside, and all you're looking to do is bring that skin up to sort of a height that looks realistic, and then bring it across. Now you want to bring it across at an angle because their arms are flared out. If you go across in a dead straight line, then it won't look right when you come to finish it. And then you just keep tracing it round at the top until it meets. So it's met in there. There's a little bit of something in my paint there. I'll deal with that later. We'll pull that out later. And then you just fill in the gap. What you can do, if you haven't got a lot of detailing to do on the sleeve area, you can sometimes bring them up. If you've got like I don't know, a treble or a double ring to put on the cuff area, leave your skin a little bit lower so that you've got space, because if you make them rings big, then they can end up taking up the whole sleeve, and then if it's not actually meant to be a whole sleeve, you can ruin it. So on the other side, exactly the same process as before, coming up and then dragging it round at an angle, like what we did with the hoops from that tutorial where we mentioned those. I think that's in Wolves episode 1. So if you want to see how we paint hoop shirts and things, then that I believe is in Wolves episode 1. In those gaps, and you want to bring it up and round till you join in the middle. So this one's got it's a 60s kit, late 50s, early 60s, so it's going to have a really pronounced V. I'm going to bring his hairline back in here. We're going for a real side parting in there, so I want to get that extra bit of skin there. It's too big, but that's fine. It's going to be a big old side parting. I'm going to bring it round as a round neck to start with. As I said, I follow that chin line round. That gives me a nice curve to follow. It makes a nice smooth line. Got his ear here coming across. And just fill in the gaps. Drag it around the back. Up in there. Cool. So there we have him. That would be a short-sleeved shirt with a round neck. I'll say round neck's easy because the figure already gives you the round neck, and if you follow the chin round with the brush, then it should give you that nice smooth curve. To create a V, very similar to what we did before with the other one, but this one's a more pronounced V, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit lower. Don't press too hard with your paintbrush either. Let the paint that's on it do the work. Cool. So there you can see a deeper set V-neck. So we come round then to a little error and overpaint that we made. Happens quite often, happens a lot more often than you think, especially when you're like me and you paint your players in the bases. I drop them all the time and then they flick past the brush, and that's what happened. All I'm going to do is, with my knife again, I'm just going to gently go around where it was and just take off the plastic, and now it's gone. So just scraping away really gently to remove that plastic and that paint means that now I've cleaned it up. Like I say, sometimes what you can do is if you go to wipe it, you end up spreading it too far, and then it becomes a lot harder to get off, and if you do then try and scrape it, you've got to scrape more layers. If it's a dark colour that's going to be there, then don't worry about it, you can just paint over it. If it's a acrylic colour going over the top, again, I wouldn't worry about it. You can just paint over it. But if it wanted it to be white, or it's going to be a light colour getting painted on it, I would suggest always letting it dry and then getting your craft knife out and just trying to scrape it back. Obviously, little movements and using the blade as a scrape. Try not to dig in. If you dig in, you take away too much plastic. You'll put chunks in your players, and that's the last thing you want to do. So those are the basic two there. We'll go through one more from start to finish, just to finish it off. And this one is a 1965 kit. So again, make sure I'm in the shot with the legs, inside of the leg, up to those lines. Like I said, apply pressure to those molded areas without bumping. With this, just follow it round into there, fill in your gaps. From the other side, inside of the leg, come up to those shorts. Bring it round on the socks. And then fill in your gaps. Again, similar to if it's hands you're overpainting, then there's a couple of reasons why you might overpaint areas. Too much paint on the brush would be first and foremost. Using a brush that's too big, having bristles that aren't behaving, so ones that stick out or always flick out. Best thing to do, cut them off, get a really, really sharp knife, and sort of just try and separate it off and then cut it down as low as you can. That's what's happened to this brush about a million times. It was a 00. I get asked this question all the time. What brushes do I use? 00 is what I would suggest to anyone. Start with a 00, maybe get a treble. If you are worried that you want to do small details and you're worried it's too big. I do have treble zeros, but I don't use them. I've just, like I said in the Q&A video before, I've just fallen for this brush. It's been good to me. I'm comfortable with it. I pretty much know what it's going to do. We've got to know each other, me and this brush. We're not on first name terms or anything like that, but we know each other quite well. And again, just coming up, using quite a lot of the surface area of the brush as well to fill in those gaps. If I was just poking away at it with the end, I'd be here all day. So use the whole surface area of the brush, helps you keep straight lines as well. So there we go for another set of legs in there. Nice and clean, nice and easy. This one, hands again, a bit more gentle with hands. Very easy to overpaint hands and get it on the shirt. Which if you're doing short sleeves is perfect, doesn't really matter. But obviously in this case we are not. This is going to have a double ring collar and cuff line. Really nice design, actually. Classic 60s, 70s design, the double rings. Big fan of them. I'd love to see them come back for certain teams. I'd like to see Leicester do it again. Have a double ring collar and cuff line. We had one in the 90s when we won the cup. 97 kit had a double ring. Sleeves are really big as well in the 90s, weren't they? Like massive. Like short sleeve shirts were like American football shirts. Well, I don't know why they did it. Like football trends are weird. But I've got like 90s shirts that are like adult sizes. They weren't mine, they're my dad's. But when you put them on, like the sleeves are about 8 feet long. The rest of the shirt fits fine, but for whatever reason, the sleeves are massive. And you go back and you look at pictures of the players in short sleeves, and they're really wide. Like they're not fitted at all. And they've just got massive, massive sleeves on them. Shorts got big as well in the 90s, to be fair, like really long. And then we sort of moved into the late 90s, early 2000s, and then kit started to get really tight. Like Kappa especially, loved a tight shirt. Good designs though, especially nowadays. I think Kappa's one of the sort of unsung heroes of brands. They make some really nice ones. Let's do another one while we're here. We got another short sleever to do. So again, legs. Inside of the leg first. That's how I work. Up to the middle, come across that line. just in there. Round in there, come down to the sock line, round, add a bit more paint, just fill in the gap. Nice and easy. But yeah, so Kappa, like nowadays, bringing out some really nice kits, but they're probably still way too tight, and they're really expensive as well, like ridiculously expensive. Now I follow Real Betis, like they're my second team. I got a lot of time for Betis. They've, I've seen them play. They treated me really well when I was younger. I saw them play at Havant and Waterlooville. I want to say like 2012 maybe. They were due to play Portsmouth, but Portsmouth got stuck in America. Some like food cart or something got stuck, or I can't remember. The flight didn't take off, so Betis were over here ready to play Portsmouth, and then in the end, it didn't play them. Ended up playing Havant and Waterlooville, and I went down. There was like 5 or 6 Spanish guys that had come over to watch them, and I was there. And after the game, stood outside, they all signed my shirt, and then one of the guys, I missed one of them, and one of the guys I've been chatting to said, "Oh, give me your shirt," and he took it on to the tour bus, or the team coach, for me, and got the player that I'd missed to sign it for me. So you'll see that shirt hanging up in the background of quite a few videos, to be fair. But there were some good players on display that day. Betis' all-time top goal scorer, Ruben Castro, played. I think he scored a hat-trick, actually. But there was a few that were missing. I was really looking forward to seeing Benyat. He was one of my favourite players at the time. But he didn't come over. But there were some good ones. But yeah, so Kappa make Betis' kits, so they did last season. And they're really nice. The away one especially was an absolute beauty. I didn't manage to get one. Couldn't afford it, and then when I could afford it, it sold out. But it was such a nice design. A lot going on, which usually I don't like, but it fitted. It was just heritage wise. A lot of my kit likes are like, does the kit represent the team that it's supposed to be? It's not just a random design that they've gone, okay, there you go, this is what we've come up with. Like, there was clear design areas. You could see what they'd done. They'd used the triangle from the Betis crest as a shattering glass pattern coming over the shirt, like from one shoulder all the way over. I've probably tweeted like a million times. If you follow me on Twitter, you definitely would have seen it. And I am actually going to try and paint it. Haven't started yet. Got too many other things to do, but it's an awesome little kit. So again, there you go, short sleeves. Just looking to bring them around at an angle and at a realistic height. Once you set one, you've kind of got to copy it or mirror it on the other side. If you end up going too long or too short, you'll notice it, and it'll become pretty obvious. But yeah, so then kits went through that phase of going really tight. Like, I've got a Roma shirt from the early 2000s with Batistuta on the back, who's one of my football heroes, and that shirt is allegedly a double XL, and it's still tight. And it was tight when I was like, when did I get that? Early 2000s. I'd have been like 14, maybe 15. I'm not a big lad, but that thing still fitted me nice then. And it's a double XL, but it's so stretchy. You could stretch that across the continent and then it would still go back to the shape it was supposed to be. So there you go, short sleeves, round neck. We've got 2 more to do. We might as well just carry on, keep showing you guys how to do it. So this one, where are we looking here? This one's an away kit, I think. But yeah, and nowadays, like, I tend to find like some kit designers, they just do things for the sake of doing them. And clubs lap it up, like random designs that don't mean anything. Like, for me, they've got to mean, for the best kits, always represent the club or the nation that they're supposed to represent, and the design elements they've put in have it's a word I'm looking for. Is it provenance? Providence, heritage, I can't remember, but they mean something to the club or the team it's meant to represent. Like, they're the best kits. Like, for me, like, for example, like, when we won the Premier League in 2015-16, we had a shirt, the away shirt, the black one. It didn't have any heritage, but it was a nice design. It was subtle, it was effective, and it looked really good, and it ended up being really popular. And then the season after, we had free kits. Obviously, everyone has free kits every season nowadays, but with the season after, we had obviously the blue home shirt, had some subtle like stripes, like pinstripey, like retro-y shadow stripes running through it, when obviously we've had striped kits and pinstripey kits in the past. So it kind of matched that way. The away shirt, the first away kit, was an absolute stunner, the white one with the blue pinstripes. I would take that every single day of the week as our away kit now, to be fair. And then we had a red one. Everyone does their usual, let's have a red kit and kicks right off, despite the fact we've had red away kits for, I don't know, 50, 60 years. Like, it happened, it doesn't matter. We've had white away kits as well, and no one kicks off that Derby wear white. Just, they lose their heads over red for some reason. But yeah, so we had a blue, white and a red kit. Now, I don't think there's no doubt in my mind that was to represent the colours of Thailand and our owners. And it was a really nice touch. You know, they'd given us our dream the season before. They've been a massive part of our team and our heritage. Now, anyway, like our modern history, like they were a massive part of it. And what a lot of people don't know about King Power is that they actually saw us play Middlesbrough in the League Cup final in the Coca-Cola Cup. We won on a replay. That was the first game they'd ever seen us play. So their link with the club goes all the way back to the 90s. But yeah, so there was no mistake for me that the colours they'd chosen represented the Thailand flag, and that's become like Thailand and the King Power group and the family, especially given what's happened with Vishai obviously losing his life in that tragic helicopter crash. Like that trio of kits means more to me now than it did at the time. But yeah, and then we've had kits this season, like our home kit's unique. I know there's not a lot you can do with a blue shirt, but like I say, I'd love to see us go with like back to the double rings that we used to wear in the 60s and the 70s. It doesn't bother me if we include the gold still, because the gold has been in our kit now for a good number of seasons. We make it work. It sort of sets us aside, really. Like we are blue, white and gold. Sort of keeps us aside from, I don't know, teams like Everton, who was blue and white, Chelsea, blue and white. But yeah, so kit design for me should have a heritage, should have a provenance to represent the club it's supposed to be. This is the last one we've got. So hopefully you guys have been paying attention to the way I've been painting while I've been waffling on about kits. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys have seen as well the this alleged leaked Arsenal away kit. That's like, it looks like a Raspberry Ripple ice cream, or I don't know if you guys, I've seen a lot of people tweeting it and it made me laugh. If you've not seen the TV series Dexter, basically he kills people. He's like a serial killer that gets away with it, but he only kills bad people. It's a good series, to be fair. If you haven't seen it and you're desperate for something to watch on lockdown, give it a watch. It's decent. But anyway, it looks like basically just cutting someone up. It looks like blood splatter all over it. But that is allegedly the Arsenal away shirt for next season, and it's just designed for design's sake. There's no reason for it. There's no point. There's no point to it. It doesn't scream out, oh yeah, that's definitely Arsenal or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of just me ranting on about kits in general. There's a lot of just random design stuff that teams do for no reason, just for design's sake, not to represent anything, just to have like an awful pattern like that alleged Man City away shirt. That's absolutely disgusting. So's their home shirt. It looks like the I don't know if you guys would have seen it. It's like a sky blue shirt, and it's got like navy blue cracks in it, like, you know, like a salt flat or like a really dry mud. You get that cracked line through it. That's what it looks like. This last one's long sleeve round neck, so once again just coming up on the hands. I have absolutely talked rubbish in this video. I hope it's worth it. But yeah, and then their away kit is absolutely disgusting. If you've not seen that either, you need to, there are loads of decent football kit accounts you guys can follow on Twitter. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, just ask me. I'll point you in the right direction. There's some really good ones. Some really good kit ones out there. So there we go. Our last set of hands for this frame are all done. And this guy, I've actually nailed that little hairpiece there. Got that right in the right area. And this one's another round neck, so just going to follow that chin line round. As I said, that's the way I found best to get a nice round neckline. And don't put too much paint on your brush. Like, that's another thing that really costs painters, is they overload their brushes. Some people don't load enough and end up going dip, paint, dip, paint, dip, paint, dip, paint, dip, paint, and it takes ages. Or there's guys that just throw so much paint on it, it goes so thick that it adds weight, it adds depth to the figure. So there we have it. That is hopefully you guys have found that useful. A little skin painting tutorial. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below, or you can email us on westwood.ts@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @westwood_ts. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please give it a like. I really appreciate every subscribe and every like we get. And then come follow us on Twitter. Come interact with us on Twitter. We're always on there. Too much, as my wife would say, but we're always on Twitter. So come and say hi. Come and have a chat with us. We're always happy to help anyone who asks for it, if I can. But yeah, apart from that, take it easy, guys. Thank you very much. Laters.